going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going in depth into the top ADP risers and fallers over the last 2 weeks. Inside today's video, I'll begin by breaking down 3 ADP risers, 3 players that are rising up the draft boards right now based upon their current ADP, and then I will be discussing 2 players that are falling down the draft board over the last 2 weeks. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into things. So we'll begin with the risers category, beginning with Baker Mayfield, quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. His current ADP, pick 195, quarterback number 27 on Underdog Fantasy. His old pick 2 weeks ago, pick 206.8, so a 27 ADP change. What caused this ADP change is pretty fucking obvious. It was the fact that he went from the Browns to the Carolina Panthers. For the Browns, he was not going to be the starting quarterback. They kind of soured that relationship when Deshaun Watson showed up in town, so things were over, and people were just waiting to see where he was going to get traded. There was a lot of talk about how no one wanted Baker Mayfield. No one was even really caring too much about Baker, and that Baker was just not going to get traded. It just didn't seem like that, but in the back of everyone's head, everyone knows that Baker was good enough to be traded and probably good enough to start on another NFL team, so he gets moved to the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers situation is wide open for him to become the starting quarterback of the team. Sam Darnold started off the year last year basically on fire. He was looking like the Jets made a drastic mistake that, maybe Sam Darnold really was the guy that the Jets drafted him for. The Jets kind of just ruined him, and Adam Gase ruined him, and then magically he was going to show up for the Carolina Panthers and ball out, and he started off that. Like the first 2, 3, 4 weeks of the season, he was looking really good. Then he got hurt. Then he comes back, and he looks like that same old mono man Sam that we're used to in New York with the Jets. So now we got Baker Mayfield on this team, and I would be shocked. I would genuinely be shocked if week number 1 up against the Cleveland Browns, if the Panthers starting quarterback wasn't Baker Mayfield. Now, maybe it does take 3, 4, 5 weeks, but I really do believe a majority of the season, if Baker Mayfield is able to stay healthy, that he will be the starting quarterback on this team. I really just don't think Matt Corral or Sam Darnold are the guy. I truly think that Baker Mayfield is a lot better than people give him the credit for. In 2021, playing in 14 games, he finishes the quarterback number 26 on the season and quarterback 33 in points per game. He had 418 passing attempts, 29.9 per game, ranking 23rd at quarterback, 3,010 passing yards, 215.0 per game, 24th, 17 passing touchdowns at a 4.1% rate, 22nd. The 4.1% rate is very important at the quarterback position. I heavily look at the passing touchdown rate because around 5 is normal. If you're at like 3.5, then you are bound to just get closer to 5 unless you're just a garbage quarterback. Baker Mayfield, a lot better than a 4.1% passing touchdown rate, 13 interceptions, 9th most at quarterback, tied with Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Mac Jones, and now his teammate Sam Darnold, and he had a 60.5% completion percentage. We did not see Baker run the ball a lot last season. We do know that Baker can run the football. He's not necessarily Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, or even like Patrick Mahomes, but he can run the ball if in a pinch. But what I really want to talk about is not Baker Mayfield's stats as a whole in 2021, because as a whole, his stats were fucking atrocious. But if you actually look at his stats from prior to the injury compared to after the injury, you can see that the injury played a big part into the downfall of Baker Mayfield last season. In the 16 games prior to that injury, he had a 100.6 passer rating with 22 touchdowns to a 5 interception ratio. So 22 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. After his injury, he went from a 100.6 passer rating to a 72.8% passer rating with an 11 touchdown to 10 interception ratio. The second this man got hurt, everything went downhill. People start calling Baker Mayfield wash. Now, in reality, the best thing for Baker Mayfield would have been to sit it down. Now, he's too prideful of a guy. He needs to go in there and try his best to help elevate the team to win these games. And I understand that, right? He's got that dog in him, is what people say. He had to go out there and grit his way through it and try to win the games. And I respect that. But coming back from that injury, when he clearly was not healthy, he was not good enough to play, was a disaster for his potential career. Now, though, he's going to be back. He's had the surgery. He is going to be perfectly fine. And if we see that 100.6 passer rating Baker, the 22-5 interception ratio Baker Mayfield, then in Carolina, Baker Mayfield is going to turn heads. I am excited in these best ball drafts, in my redraft leagues, to draft Baker Mayfield in 2022 because this guy is going criminally underrated. He is better than the 27th ranked quarterback. I think that is a fucking slap in the face to what we've seen out of Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. I think he has a humongous quote-unquote comeback season in 2022 with the Carolina Panthers. Next up, we move to yet another ADP riser in Jalen Tolbert, wide receiver of the Dallas Cowboys. His current ADP, pick 142.9, wide receiver 66. His old ADP was pick 150.2, so that is a 7.3 ADP change over the last 2 weeks. At the age of 23, playing in 12 games at South Alabama, he had 82 receptions on 136 targets for 1,474 yards and 8 total touchdowns. Now, the thing with Jalen Tolbert is the reason why I like him so much right now is because of the situation. There is a good chance that Michael Gallup starts the season on the PUP/reserve list, meaning that he might be missing 4+ games, at least a minimum of 4 games to start the season. If that is the case, which is what it keeps seeming more and more like, then Jalen Tolbert is going to be the number 2 wide receiver on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I understand last year that Mr. Dicky Dak Prescott struggled at points in the season. There was seasons where Dak Prescott was in the pocket looking like fucking Stevie Wonder because he could not see anything. He could not pass the ball correctly. He was looking terrible. But then there were other games last year where Dak Prescott legitimately looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the whole NFL, and it was very annoying to watch from a fantasy football perspective because he would play up against this defense that looked like they were going to absolutely penetrate the offensive line and rock Dak Prescott, that Dak Prescott was going to stand no chance. And then in that game where the odds are stacked against him, where everything looks super difficult, the guy looks like prime Pat Mahomes or something, as if Pat Mahomes out of his prime, right? But he looks amazing. And then he'll play up against this garbage-ass defense where it looks like he should torch them. He should pick them apart, dissect them like he was a goddamn high schooler dissecting a frog, okay? That was a terrible analogy, but you get what I'm saying. There were games where it was super easy on paper. Dak is going to sling the ball all over the yard, and he was going to play well. And then in those games, he shits the bed. So it was very confusing with Dak last year, but he was dealing with some injuries. I think in 2022, we see a more consistent version of Dak Prescott. And as the wide receiver 2 in Dallas, which has been a fruitful position over the last couple of years with Dak Prescott as the starting quarterback, it is a no-brainer to me that you should be selecting Jalen Tolbert as the wide receiver 66. He could legitimately finish as a top 24 wide receiver, and you can get him at ADP 142. I understand that his ADP is rising. People are starting to wake up on Jalen Tolbert, but I don't think they've woken up early enough. I think you should be slamming Jalen Tolbert, smashing that draft button at pick 142.9. Now, the next 2 players I'm going to be talking about are going to be in conjunction with one another. One of them is a riser, and the other one is a faller. But before we can get on into that in-depth breakdown, because they're on the same team, they play the same position, I would like to give you guys a quick word from our friends and our sponsor of today's video, which is Underdog Fantasy, the best place to play fantasy football this summer. The Best Ball Mania 3 tournament has $10 million in total prize money. All you got to do is draft your team and forget it. There's no waivers. You don't have to sit up on Tuesday night feeling like a dumbass because you have to do 30,000 things of waivers, right? There is no worse feeling than realizing you're about to go to sleep. You start reading a book or whatever people do before they go to bed, and then you realize that, oh shit, I didn't set the waivers. Got to get out of bed, hop on your computer, sit there for an hour, set the waivers. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about trades either because there's no trades. There's no in-season management. Underdog will automatically give you the best score each week of the season, so you don't even have to worry about it. You can watch it throughout the whole season. You can watch your team, clap for them, root for them, or you can just draft it, forget it, come back in January to maybe a boatload of cash. Last year's Best Ball Mania champion drafted in June. It's July right now, July 22nd, so there's no need to wait. You can go ahead and draft on Underdog Fantasy right now. Underdog will double. That's right. Double your first deposit up to $100 when you use promo code AWESEMO, AWESEMO, which is good for 4 entries into the Best Ball Mania 3 tournament, or the brand new Puppy 3 tournament is going to be released on August 1st, and that's good for 20 entries into the Puppy 3 tournament. Head on over to UnderdogFantasy.com or on the App Store, or just click on the link in the video description. Might also be in the pinned comment. You never really know. Sign up with promo code AWESEMO, AWESEMO today. So back on into the video again here. We're going to be talking about 2 players in conjunction with each other. One player is rising up the boards. The other player is taking a nosedive, falling down the board. They're on the same team. It is Rashaad Penny, running back of the Seattle Seahawks, current ADP running back 30, pick 92.9, old ADP pick 104.1, so an 11 ADP change. And the faller, Kenneth Gainwell, his teammate, current ADP running back 34, pick 106.2, old ADP, pick 95.2, and 11 ADP change. So people have kind of flip-flopped on Rashaad Penny and Kenneth Walker. Now, we all know that rookie running backs typically start off the season slow, unless they're really given the chance to be the alpha #1 running back on the team, where there is just no doubt that they're going to be the guy, like, say, Najee Harris last year, right? We all knew he was going to be the guy. There's a lot of situations where they're in this committee, and eventually they break free. They're soaring, they're flying like Troy Bolton, and that's all good. But sometimes it takes some time, and that might be the scenario that we are in here with Kenneth Walker. If you guys have watched a lot of videos on here, as well as on the Stochastic Fantasy Football channel, I talk a lot about Rashaad Penny. I am the fucking conductor, choo-choo, on the Rashaad Penny hype train. And in the past, if you guys have been watching my videos, you know that I legitimately never liked Rashaad Penny, because this guy's injury prone, and Pete Carroll really just doesn't give a shit about where he drafts a guy. He could draft Rashaad Penny, or say for the example, he drafts Kenneth Walker as the #1 player in the 2022 NFL draft. I know that's not what happened, but he could have legitimately done that and left Kenneth Walker on the bench for 3 years, because he does not give a rat's ass about draft position. So my personal belief on this situation is that you should be taking Rashaad Penny ahead of Kenneth Walker, because I believe week #1, based upon everything that we have seen, Rashaad Penny is going to be the guy. Now, could Rashaad Penny get hurt? 100%. Rashaad Penny could get hurt in week 3, but anyone could get hurt, right? But if Rashaad Penny is able to stay healthy, based on what we saw out of Rashaad Penny, this guy should have the stranglehold over the Seattle backfield. But Nick, he's on the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks aren't very good. Agreed, the Seahawks aren't very good. But we've seen running backs in the past be on awful teams and dominate in fantasy football. The best example of this, because it's probably fresh on your mind, 2 years ago, James Robinson in Jacksonville, a team that looked like they had no idea what they were doing. James Robinson was absolutely dismantling your opponent every single week, because it doesn't matter if they are on a bad team. So don't get all stressed out because Seattle's not the best team. I know that, right? When Horsecock Drew Lock is the starting quarterback, things aren't going to go too well. But Rashaad Penny could still be fine. 2021, 10 games played, running back 36.5 PPR, running back 23.5 PPR points per game. He had 119 carries, 11.9 per game, 43rd at running back, 749 rushing yards, 74.9 per game, 25th, 8 targets, 6 receptions, finishing basically at running back 100, because you need to catch passes. Penny doesn't do that, so that is going to kind of give Kenneth Walker at least some room to run early on the season. 48 receiving yards and 6 total touchdowns. So what we really need to look at with Penny, though, is his points at the end of the season when Pete Carroll let him fly. Looking at his game log from weeks 14 on, this guy, when given the opportunity, was flourishing. Week 14 up against the Houston Texans, 16 carries, 1 target, 1 reception, 138 total yards, 2 touchdowns, running back 3 on the week in half PPR. Week 15 up against the Rams, things didn't go as swimmingly, right? He gets 11 touches, gets 8 routes ran, 2 targets, 2 receptions, 44 total yards, no touchdown, running back 38, right? So maybe people are like, oh, he's going to fall off a cliff. But no, week 16, this man is back again up against Chi-Town, the Bears. He gets 17 carries, 1 in the red zone, 1 target, no catches, 135 yards, 1 touchdown, running back 9. Week 17 up against the Lions, 25 carries, 6 in the red zone, 3 targets, 2 receptions, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, 32.5 points. Number 1 at running back. And then week 18 up against the Cardinals, 11 routes. He had 0 targets, 0 receptions, but he had 23 carries, 3 in the red zone, 190 yards, 1 total touchdown, 25 points, 4 at running back. So if the team and Pete Carroll, that gum-chewing guy, they give him the carries, Penny's going to dominate. And I genuinely believe that. So I understand there's the injury risk, but the risk has been taken out the second he is picked at pick 92.9. Because he's going so deep in the draft. He is balls deep into the draft to the point where it doesn't matter. You take the swing, you swing, this thing might go out of the park into the parking lot, smash through a window. This pick also might be a swing and a miss. He gets hurt, and it's in the catcher's mitt. It is what it is. It is what it is because you're at pick 92.9. You're at running back 30. So take those deep shots on these guys because Rashaad Penny could really pay out. And again, I'm not shit-talking Kenneth Walker. In college, this guy was good. Starting off at Wake Forest, Kenneth Walker transferred to Michigan State for his third year in 2021. His junior season at the age of 21, he played in 12 games, having 263 carries for 1,636 rushing yards with 13 receptions for 89 yards and 19 total touchdowns. Kenneth Walker isn't that great of a pass-catching back, but I think he'd probably get the nod over Penny, but maybe we see Penny cook it up in the pass-catching game as well. Again, I think you say, Nick, next year, who you taking, Walker or Penny? I'm probably taking Walker. But in 2022, in redraft, in best ball, I'm taking Penny and hoping for that boom shot that he is able to stay healthy and he is able to put up those numbers that we saw at the end of the season because I really believe that Rashaad Penny could be a top 12 running back if he stays healthy. Now on to the final faller because again, we talked about Walker and Rashaad Penny in conjunction with one another. We got Cam Brate, tight end of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Current ADP pick 184.2, tight end 25. Old ADP pick 175.48, 8.8 ADP change. So, yesterday, as you guys are watching this when it comes out, if you're watching this a couple days from now, it happened a couple days ago, Kyle Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, signed with the Bucs. Now, I know Kyle Rudolph isn't the Kyle Rudolph of 8 years ago, 10 years ago in Minnesota, but he's still a guy. And this tight end room is starting to feel less like Cameron Brate's going to be the clear guy. It's going to be Cameron Brate, it's going to be Cade Otton, it's going to be Kyle Rudolph, and you're going to be pissed off trying to figure out which one to start every single week. Cam Brate last year wasn't the greatest, but how could he have been when Gronk was dominating? He's tied in 28.5 PPR, tied in 39.5 PPR points per game, tied with Ryan Griffin, playing in 17 games, 57 targets, 24th at tight end, 30 receptions, 30th at tight end, 245 receiving yards, 38th at tight end, and 4 total touchdowns, right? Nothing special, nothing that's going to make your eyes ejaculate when you hear these stats or see these stats when you look them up. But again, he is the perceived number 1 tight end. I think he still is the number 1 guy. But I really do believe now with the addition of Kyle Rudolph that things are going to be messy in Tampa Bay. And I think that Cameron Brate, he'll probably still score 6 touchdowns, right? Because of just how good Tampa Bay is. I'm just pretty worried about this situation. I think that you should probably at this point either draft Cameron Brate if he keeps falling or just stay clear away. Because I'm going to be honest, this is a situation every week that's going to be making you pull your hair out. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. I hope you did end up enjoying. Please make sure to hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. It helps us out a ton. Make sure you check out Underdog Fantasy. Promo code AWESEMO, AWESEMO, to get that $100 first match deposit bonus. If you're on Underdog and you see me in the draft, screenshot the draft, send it to me on Twitter and be like, Nick, you fucking suck, or Nick, excellent drafting. I love drafting with you guys, and I love rating your guys' team. So if you're drafting on Underdog, tweet them at me, and I'll go ahead and be like, damn, that's a nice squad, or maybe it's not as good, and maybe there's some pointers I can give you, or maybe I think it's bad. It ends up winning $2 million. That's probably what'll end up happening anyway. So I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, good boy.